You ever see the news and they're all excited about a 4% unemployment rate, and you think to yourself, wait a minute, isn't that still millions of people without a job? It feels kind of weird to call that a win. Well, today we're going to crack that exact puzzle. Okay, so let's just get right into it. This is the big question, right? How can a number that sounds, on the surface, kind of bad, actually be a sign that the economy is doing pretty well? Stick with me, and I promise this whole thing will make perfect sense. 4%. That's the magic number we hear all the time. It's not zero, but for economists, it's often the target. So, what's really going on inside this one little number? Let's peel back the layers. To really get to the bottom of this, we have to start with the basics. And that means understanding who is actually being counted as unemployed. And trust me, the official definition probably isn't what you think it is. It seems so simple, doesn't it? Unemployed means you don't have a job. Easy. But for the folks who actually calculate that 4% rate, the definition is way, way more specific. So to be officially counted, you've got to check 3 boxes. First, you don't have a job, obvious enough, but it's the next 2 that are the real gatekeepers. You have to be actively looking for work, and you have to be available to start, like right now. If you fail any one of those 3 tests, you're not officially unemployed. And this distinction is a really big deal. People who are retired or are full-time students, or maybe they've just gotten so discouraged they've given up looking for a job, they're all considered out of the labor force. They don't even show up in that headline number, which is a huge reason why the official rate can feel so disconnected from reality. Okay, so now we know who's being counted. The next piece of the puzzle is understanding why they're unemployed. And it turns out there are 3 totally different reasons, or you could call them flavors of being jobless. You know, I absolutely love this analogy from our source material. It just makes the whole concept click, right? Not all car trouble is the same, and it's the exact same thing with unemployment. First up, we've got frictional unemployment. And get this is actually the good kind of unemployment. Seriously, this is you leaving an old job to find a better one. It's the new grad who's hunting for that perfect first gig. This kind of unemployment means the economy is dynamic and people are confident enough to move around and improve their situation. It's a sign of health, not a problem. Next, there's structural unemployment. Now, this one's a lot more serious. This is the skills gap. You know, think of a coal miner in a world shifting to green energy, or a video store clerk after Netflix took over. The jobs are out there, but there's this deep mismatch between the skills people have and what companies actually need. This is a much tougher nut to crack. And finally, we have cyclical unemployment. This is the one you hear about on the news all the time. It just follows the ups and downs of the economy. When a recession hits, people stop buying things, companies make less stuff, and, well, they have to lay people off. This is the kind of unemployment that governments really try to fight. Okay, so if some unemployment is good and some is bad, why not just get rid of the bad kinds and shoot for 0? I mean, that makes sense, right? Well, this is where things get really, really interesting and kind of backwards from what you'd expect. Yup, you heard that right. I'm going to say it again because it's a big one. The goal for a healthy economy is not 0% unemployment. Economists actually want a little bit of it. It sounds completely bonkers, but there's a powerful reason why. Just imagine a world with 0 unemployment. Sounds like a paradise, right? Well, if a business wants to grow and hire new people, where do they find them? They can't. So growth just grinds to a halt. The only way to get a new employee is to steal them from another company with a huge salary, which then forces that company to raise wages, and pretty soon the price of everything starts spiraling out of control. That's called runaway inflation. And that leads us to this crucial idea of a sweet spot. Economists call it the natural rate of unemployment, and it's usually somewhere in that 4 to 5% range. It's a rate that's low enough that almost everyone who wants a job can find one, but it's just high enough to let people move between jobs, that good frictional unemployment, and to keep a lid on inflation. But of course, we've been talking about all these theories and numbers, and it's so important to remember that behind every single one of these data points is a real person. An unemployment rate isn't just a number on a spreadsheet. For any one person, losing a job can be totally devastating. It can affect your sense of self, your well-being, everything. And for a whole country, high unemployment is just a colossal waste of talent and potential. And that's why understanding what causes it is so critical. And this is exactly why breaking unemployment down into those 3 flavors is so important. You use different tools for different problems. You can't fix a skills gap with stimulus check, right? For structural unemployment, you need things like job retraining and education. For cyclical unemployment, that's when the government might step in to boost the economy and get people spending again. You have to match the solution to the problem. So, the next time you hear that unemployment number on the news, you'll know what's really going on. It's not just a simple grade on an economic report card. No, it's a really complex story about people changing careers, about whole industries shifting, and about a country navigating the constant flow of economic life. So yeah, that 4% number tells a powerful story. But now you know, it's never the whole story. It's a useful shortcut for sure, but it hides so much. The people who've stopped looking, the skills that are no longer needed, and all the individual human stories happening just beneath the surface. It really makes you wonder, what other big numbers do we accept every day without asking what's really being counted?